Hey everyone, it's Emily. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the mid-year book freakout book tag. I wanted to do this video because I started BookTube too late last year to do it, and I knew I needed to do it now before I forget to do it. So we're doing this right now. We are June 18 as I'm filming this. I'm pre-filming it because next weekend I have a meetup in Toronto, so I needed to do this video. I'm super excited. Let's do this. Question number one, best book you've read so far in 2017. And I have to say, this year I have read a bunch of books already, but I read a lot of good books, a lot of not so great books, but not that many that I'm like, oh, mind blown, this is the best book I've ever read. So something that should be easy is actually kind of hard to answer. So I'm gonna go with a trilogy. Is it cheating? Probably not, but this is the Remnant Chronicle trilogy. A Kiss of Deception is the first book. I feel like I'm always talking about it, but you're following a princess who, the day of her wedding, she decides to run away, and there's two men going after her. There's the prince she was supposed to marry and an assassin sent to kill her, and you don't know who is who in the first book. And it is like a kind of a romance in a fantasy world, which usually I'm really not a big fan of romance, but this one totally worked for me. And obviously as the books go on, it's not just that anymore. There's definitely a lot of political intrigue. There's like war between 3 different cities, and I loved it. So I wanted to give it a huge shout out. Question number 2 is best sequel of 2017. I'm gonna go with the third book in the Mistborn trilogy. This is The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. And oh, you know when some books literally blow your mind at the end and everything ties in properly, and this is how it felt reading this. The beginning was kind of like, I don't know if I'm actually gonna like give this 5 stars, but then the ending, even if I didn't love everything in the ending, it was still mind-blowing. This was awesome, and this will make you want to read every single book of Brandon Sanderson. So if you haven't read this trilogy yet, do it ASAP. It's really great because it's kind of in between YA and adult fantasy series, and the world building, the magic system, everything that was explained at the end is just amazing. I mean, people eating metals to use the magical powers. If that doesn't make you want to read it. Number 3, new release you haven't read yet, but you're dying to. I'm actually gonna go with something that's gonna surprise a lot of you, but I'm gonna go with A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. You're probably like, Emily, you hated the first book. And yes, I did. But I just finished the second book, and I mean, okay, still don't like the sex scenes, and there's some characters I really hate. But finally, it's not just a romance. There's like a lot of fantasy element, and it was so good. And I really want to see where this is gonna go. I feel like everything tied in a little too well at the end, but I still want to continue. So I'm gonna go with this one, even though it's like a book I wanted to read just for the last like 2-3 days. For most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and I'm gonna go with They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Ever since I've heard the synopsis, I've been like, yep, I need to find this book. Like, I need to read this. From what I know, you're like in this world, but they have, is it an app that tells you have only 24 hours left, so you can just, you know, place your things in order. But then there's an app to like spend a day with other people that are also living their last day, so you can just, you know, do your bucket list and stuff. I don't know. I am super intrigued to read this book. Yes. Plus, I haven't read anything from him yet, but I've heard so many great things about like at least 3 of his books, so it's so gonna happen. 5, biggest disappointment. World War Z by Max Brooks. I thought I would absolutely love this book. I love dystopian, I love post-apocalyptic, I love that stuff. Zombies, I should have loved this, but I really could not get into it. I literally had to like skim through the last pages. I couldn't connect to it. And I don't know if it was because it was like interview format. That's what I thought until I just read Sleeping Giants, which, by the way. But this was just... A lot of people have been telling me that I should try the audiobook before completely giving up on it, which I might do, but I don't know, definitely the biggest disappointment. I loved the movie, and I had been told that this was way better. And I did like to learn how the zombies were like different from like all different ones, and in theory I really thought I would have liked it, but I just didn't. Number 6, biggest surprise. See, I was going to say Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel, but then I realized that I shouldn't be surprised because it's sci-fi and I ended up liking it. Maybe it could have been number 2, the second option for the first question. Anyway, my biggest surprise of the year so far, which, I mean, I kind of already mentioned this, but A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. I started reading this because in my TBRs, I now make you vote for which book you actually want me to read this month between a couple ones, and you can suggest one, and this was the most voted one. And I don't know if people wanted me to read it because they thought I would love this, or if they just wanted to torture me because you all knew I hated the first one, but I ended up really liking it. Like I said earlier, didn't like the sex scene, but there's so much more to the story now. Easily the biggest surprise of the year. I expected to hate this, to give it like a 1 star or 2 star, but I give it like a solid 4. And that's after doing like minus to a few things, otherwise it would have been a 5 stars. So if you read the first one, hated it, I still think you should give this one a shot, but like go through the first couple chapters because they're painful, but after that, awesome. It was so good. Honestly, I think there's a few things I could have named there too, like even Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I went into it like thinking, it's just gonna be okay because like everyone is saying how it's like just another dystopian book because it's like super similar to other things, but I ended up enjoying it. Like not 5 stars enjoying it, but like 4 star, which for me is really good, by the way. So a lot of surprising books lately, actually. Number 7, new favorite author. It's gonna be really hard for me to vote, but I think I'm gonna go with Sylvain Neuvel for like Sleeping Giants because I devoured that book, and I think it really is a story that sucks you in, and I'm really excited to see where it's gonna go. I know it's gonna be, I believe, a trilogy. The second book is out. I need to get my hands on it, and I'm sure I'm gonna be really excited to see the third one. I don't know if 1 book is enough to say that, but it's like the answer that pops into my mind. Or like I could mention Becky Chambers, the author of A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, because the writing was really beautiful in there. Or I could even mention Claire North, even though the writing wasn't necessarily what I loved about it. I think she's just super creative with like her ideas. I'm currently reading another one from her. I read The First 15 Lives of Ari August, which was really good, and I'm currently reading Touch. And yeah, it's not necessarily her writing, it's just her ideas. Does that still count? I can't just give one answer to those questions. I read like 67, 68 books so far this year, so like naming one is hard. Number 8, newest fictional crush. I don't get crushes easily. I like very often will just start hating the love interest, but I have to say, are you ready? Ryson? I read A Court of Thorn and Roses, and I hated Temley. Like, I could not understand why anyone would be into him, like, hated him, but I liked Ryson, and then I was like, what is wrong with me? Why would I like the bad guy? But then I feel like the second book kind of like totally made me have a crush on him. Yeah. Number 9, newest favorite character. Certainly not fair. Okay, it's really sad, but I can't think of anyone, and I'm sure something's gonna pop into my mind as I'm editing the video, but I can't think of anyone. Number 10, a book that made you cry. So I'm a little bit heartless and I rarely, if ever, cry, especially reading a book, but a book that did make me feel stuff and made me sad was We Are the Ants, and there's just so much happening in this book. You're following a teenage boy who, there's so many things going wrong in his life right now. His ex-boyfriend killed himself last year, and there's so much stuff happening at home. His grandma is just going through Alzheimer, and anyway, just a ton of stuff is happening. He's being bullied, and in between those things, he's being abducted by aliens. And yeah, there was just so much happening in this book. So if you want to feel the feels, I would recommend that book. Number 11, a book that made you happy. There's definitely a few, but the most recent one would have to be Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky Abertelli. There's just a lot of like feel-good feelings in there. Number 12, most beautiful book you have received or bought yourself this year. I don't know if anyone's gonna agree, but I really like the covers on the Shade of Magic trilogy, and I bought Conjuring of Light by V. Schwab this year, and I just think this is so awesome. They all like kind of matches in the designs, and I don't know, I just think this one is really pretty. Otherwise, I feel like I buy pretty books mostly for like Christmas and stuff. Like last Christmas I bought like all the Jane Austen book. These are so pretty. I feel like I've been pretty good at not buying books just because they're pretty, which is hard sometimes, but I think I've been pretty good at it. You know what? I'm repeating myself, but I still wanted to mention it. The whole Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Aubert, because underneath the cover, it looks like this. How cool is this? I think this is definitely super pretty. Did I buy it this year though? Number 13, books you need to read before the end of the year. And I mean, all of them. I wish I could read all of them, but I mean, which one I really, really need to get to? I think I'm gonna go with this because I read the first book and I've been meaning to continue this series for a while, and it is Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I read Red Rising and I liked it okay, but I didn't love it. But people keep saying that I need to continue, so definitely need to do that. I've also been meaning to read some horror books, like Horror Time is coming soon, and I want to read at least one Stephen King book. But I don't know which one, either it or The Stand. But they're so big that I'm like, I don't know if I'm like ready to commit to this. This is like gonna be my only book that month. Like, am I ready for this? So I haven't started yet, but I want to at least read one. To be honest, if I went back and watched my top 17 books of 2017 that I want to read that year, I probably read like not even 5. So I really need to get my stuff together because I haven't been reading enough. Well, I have, but I mean not the books I was supposed to. I just reorganized my shelves and I'm not happy with it. I have to redo it today. And I feel like I can't find the books I want to talk about. Clearly I'm still sleepy because I was like, why can I not find the books I've been wanting to read? It's because you put a pile in your bedroom, Emily. Here you go. So I've been wanting to read Nevernight because everyone talks about it and I want to know what I think about it. All the Wrong Todays by Ellen Maste, because again, I've been wanting to read this. It's like a time travel kind of type of book. And then, like I was saying, I wanted to continue the Mistborn series. And then A Closed Income in Orbit by Becky Chambers is the second book of a long way to Small Angry Planet. So yeah, there's just so many I've been wanting to read that I like put a pile next to my bed to like get me excited. And it's been working. Like my reading slump is completely gone, so those are some of the ones that I want to read. And then number 14 is your favorite book community member so far this year. I can't just name one person, so I think I'm just gonna mention and link a few people down below so you can discover, because I've been asked quite often who are my favorite people to watch. So I'll link that down below so you can find more awesome people to watch. So that's it, guys. This was my mid-year book freak out. I think this year is going pretty well so far. I will link down below. I did do a video about my goals of the year and where I'm standing right now. So far I'm doing pretty well. Not on everything, but pretty well. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments how your year has been going so far reading-wise. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss any future videos, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.